In Irish folk tradition, the calendar is principally split into quarter days, so called as they divide the year into each of its 4 seasons of summer, May Day or Bealtaine, autumn, Lammas or Lunasa, winter, Halloween or Samhain, and of course, spring, St. Brigid's Day or Imbolc, which falls on the 1st of February. St. Brigid's Day is dedicated to the saint nicknamed Mura na Gael, or Mary of the Irish, a designation given to her on account of the adoration and high regard in which she has long been held by the people of this island. The special position attributed to her is reflected even in the name Brigid, which means high, lofty, elevated or exalted one, and has been a particularly popular name in Ireland from a great many generations. To come to a full understanding and appreciation of her feast, however, we must examine the pre-Christian roots not just of the celebration, but of the figure of Brigid herself. Prior to any veneration of the early Christian saint, the 1st of February was the day on which the festival of Imbolc was held in Ireland, a festival which, in welcoming the arrival of spring, had as its focus fertility and propagation. The word Imbolc literally means in the womb, though it also appears in the early literature as Imolc, meaning lactation. Both words, however, attest to a consideration at this time of birth, renewal, and the feminine. Attached to the celebration of Imbolc was the pre-Christian deity Brigid, patroness of poets, smith-workers, and livestock, goddess of healing and daughter of the Daige or Dagda, who himself was father god of the Tuatha De Danann, the mythical race said to inhabit Ireland before the arrival of humans. The festival of Imbolc, dedicated as it is to the goddess Brigid, and falling as it does on the 1st of February, would seem later to have become heavily associated with the woman who, born in County Louth in the north-eastern quarter of Ireland around 455 AD, Christianised her tribe, took the name of Brigid, and went on to establish what is likely Ireland's oldest monastery of Kildare, a demonstration of the central role of women at the earliest phase of the Christian Church in Ireland. The Irish language name for the place she established, Kildare, means Church of the Oak Tree. The most widely known custom connected with St. Brigid's Day involves the construction of rushwork crosses. These crosses are most likely pre-Christian in origin and appear in a variety of types. Most familiar perhaps is the 4-armed swastika-type cross, although there are also 3-armed crosses and elaborate lozenge-type crosses found in other portions of the country. These crosses, hung in the rafters of the house, were employed to garner the blessing of the saint and were commonly believed to protect the home against fire and lightning, as well as being used to ward off illness and evil influence from the home. Indeed, a poem from the year 1735 makes reference to this very practice, saying, "St. Brigid's cross hung over the door, which did the house from fire secure, and though the dogs and servants slept, by Brigid's care the house was kept." Another custom observed widely across the island of Ireland was the practice of dressing up the dash of a churn, a once common household item used by our forebears in the production of butter, as an effigy of the saint. This effigy was called the Brídóg, or the biddy, and in some quarters of the country great preparations were made with the young girls in the district, who would meet in a certain house in their locality and fix up a biddy, dressed with a wreath and veil. The Brídóg having been constructed, a band of young men would travel the locality from house to house, masked in what were known as vizards, so as to be rendered anonymous, and, wearing strange clothes and women's garments, this motley assortment, known as biddy boys, would play mouth organs, melodeons, and concertinas in each of the houses they visited. Upon entering the house, the biddy boys would begin their music, singing and dancing, and the leader of the procession, brandishing the effigy of the saint, would entreat the occupants therein to hand over a few pence, in order that St. Brigid might bless the house and protect them in the year ahead. In some areas of the country, it was thought that whatever was given to the Brídóg would be returned sevenfold throughout the year. The money gathered by the biddy boys was thereafter used in organising a dance in the locality, or, as was described in one instance, put to good use in an altogether more private capacity at a local public house. In parts of County Wicklow, in the eastern portion of the country, this custom would seem to have been of such sport that it was practised by locals there from the 1st of February until Lent. In other quarters, this custom of house visiting in honour of the saint was believed to protect the profit or luck of the house from being stolen through magic, and likewise ensured ample butter production throughout the year. St. Brigid herself was said to travel across Ireland on the night of January 31st, on the eve of her feast, and items were often left outside the house overnight so as to procure her blessing. These items varied from parish to parish across the country, though dishes of salt or butter were often kept outside on this night, and were subsequently used to cure sore throats or other ailments, having been blessed by the good saint as she undertook her travels across Ireland. In other parts of the country, a ribbon or piece of fabric was left out overnight. This was known as Brigid's mantle, and was used to ensure fertility in women and assist them in childbirth. Pieces of this mantle were sometimes woven into clothing worn by fishermen, in order to protect them against drowning. St. Brigid's curative powers are further recognisable in lore regarding holy wells across the country that bear her name. Water from wells dedicated to the saint was believed in many areas to have a cure for vomiting, with devotees visiting other wells bearing her name for 9 days in succession in order to bathe themselves in the water there. Similar practices were carried out at St. Brigid's wells all over the country, with small items and relics being left in honour of the saint, ribbons or holy pictures, we are told. In this short video can only be outlined a very small portion of the customs and traditions surrounding her feast. It would be worth going to your parents and grandparents, or the elderly people in your own community, to ask if they know of any customs and traditions attached to the Feast of St. Brigid in their own local area. You might be pleasantly surprised by what you find. Feel free to leave any of these in the comments section below. Symbols of fertility, rebirth and femininity resonate through Brigid, and with spring come the gifts of propagation, renewal and growth. There is a promise in the air. Soil is yet to be tilled, and our young are yet to be born, but the harsh rigours of winter are passing away. Brigid, spring, you are welcome. Come in.